it's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to do a review for Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. This is the first book in the Malazan series. I really struggled to do a synopsis of this book because I think part of the enjoyment of reading this book is kind of figuring out the plot as you go. But I also didn't want to do too much of a synopsis that it spoils events in the books. Basically, it's in this huge world, but it's focused on a place, Ganabakis, and the Empress Lysine wants to take over the city, Jerusalem, which is basically the last free city in Ganabakis. You follow a lot of characters. This is an insanely epic world, and it has a very complex plot, but it is very worthwhile. I do have some points that I want to hit, but the main thing I want you to take out of this is that I think there's kind of this idea in the booktube community that this first book is just very intimidating and way too complex and that it's hard to read. That's why I put it off for so long, because I've always heard how intimidating it is. But now that I've read it, it's actually not as intimidating and hard to grasp as people sometimes make it out to be. I also hesitate to use the term like advanced fantasy because I think that's a turnoff for some people, but I think it's a good book for people who have some fantasy under their belt and they just really want to dive into this epic world. There are a lot of characters in this book, and even though we don't spend a ton of time on each character, the time we do spend with them, I feel like we do get to know them on a deeper level. The way Erikson wrote these characters is very succinct but very impactful, and every word is purposeful. I don't feel like he wastes a lot of words when it comes to the characters in the story, and they really come together in a way where you really feel like you know these characters and you're getting to know this world and you're just hungry for more. Some of my favorite characters are Animander Rake, and I won't say the reason why because it's a spoiler, but just know he's really, really cool. And I also love characters like Crocus, and his entire plotline just cracks me up. He's so oblivious, but so lovable and endearing. And again, you really feel like you get to know him, and he has a purpose in the plot, but it just takes a little bit to find out what it is. And there are just so many more. Whiskey Jack. I absolutely adored Tattersail. And I know these names don't mean a lot to people who haven't read the book, but again, it's just one of those books where you need to read it and find out for yourself, and it's totally worth it. Another thing is his world building. Like I said, he doesn't really waste words, and even though this world is insanely epic, I feel like I really did at least start to understand the world and the magic system. And even though this world is huge, in this book we focus on Ganabakis and the city of Pale and Jerusalem. And I feel like in the story, it's set up in a way where it's in different sections, for lack of a better term. So in one chapter, you may be looking at events, and then you see it from different perspectives and get a more comprehensive view of what's going on, if that makes sense. His writing style was extremely poetic, but I think in a very approachable way. This really just drew me in from the beginning and made me want to keep reading. So when you first start the book, like every chapter starts with some kind of poem, and even if you don't fully understand it when you read it, things become clear as you go. And then even just the opening line is, "The stains of rust seem to map blood seas on the black, pocked surface of mox vein. A century old, it squatted on the point of an old pike that had been bolted to the outer top of the hold's wall." And things like that, like blood seas on the black and stains of rust. I feel like these are just little poetic ways that really help you to visualize the world. I really felt like I had no issue seeing this world in my mind because he described it so well and in such an accessibly poetic way that it just really opened up the whole world for me. Even if you're not a poetry fan, I feel like you'll still enjoy his writing because it just, again, it just adds to the world building so well. This is just one of those books where it's dense and it does require a little work on the part of the reader, but it is so rewarding and so worth it. I loved in the Discord, I can't remember whose Discord it was, but one of the members said that they looked at this as kind of like a mystery because you're just tossed right in. And I know in other fantasy books they say, you know, you're tossed right in and you figure out the plot as you go. And in those books it's easier to figure out what's going on. And I was watching Ridma's review and she described it really well. She said it feels like you're starting at the second or third book in the series instead of the first book. And I thought that was a really accurate description. But I don't want that to be seen as negative because part of the fun is figuring out what is going on and how the magic system works in this world. For example, the Warrens are, the first time you see it is when it's being used for transport. And just like other people have said, it really reminded me of the Ways in the Wheel of Time. But then Erickson really takes it and makes it his own and twists it in such a cool way and just really expands on it. And I just thought it was so phenomenal the way he did this. And if I remember correctly, this is his first book. I feel like even if I didn't enjoy this book, like if I had ended up not liking it, I would have to give him his props because just the level of skill in his writing and the thought process behind the book is just fantastic. So I think from an objective point of view, writing wise, this is a very well written quality book. I did have some issues with pacing. The book is kind of like a roller coaster. Like it starts and you're kind of going up and you're figuring things out, and then things happen and then it slows down a bit and then you start going back up. But then you hit the middle of the book and then you just hit the end of that roller coaster where everything's happening. I binged the last part of the book because I just couldn't put it down. And I wanted to find out what happened to these characters because it's like, just the way he wrote them was so phenomenal. It's just so fantastic. And as you're reading, you find out more about the magical abilities of these characters or their backstory, and it ties in with what's going on now. And there's also a lot of strategic moves in this book that you need to follow, which is where part of the work comes in. It was work, but it was fun. And if you can read it with people, I highly recommend it because I don't think I would have gotten as much out of it had I not buddy read it. I read it with Angela and Leslie, and it was nice getting their perspectives because they picked up on stuff that I did not. I also do not recommend binging it. I really only did that to catch up to them, but I feel like this is one of those books where you really need to take your time with it because there's a lot. And I know Leslie was saying she read like a chapter a day and that was a good pace for her. And I would agree with that because there's so much in each chapter that you really need to take the time to process it. I don't want that to sound like a turnoff, but I think it's just one of those books where you just need to take the time to really savor it and enjoy it, and then that way you're able to pick up on more things and really just make the book come alive for you. So overall, I really had a good time reading this. I hope that what I'm trying to convey really comes across. And I'm really, really looking forward to reading the next book, The Dead House Gates. But I think this is also a series where, kind of like Wheel of Time, I just need to spread it out because I feel like if I read every book back to back, I'll burn myself out on it because it's just such an expansive world that it just requires time, and that's okay. Overall, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. I really enjoyed my time reading it, and I hope this at least gets some of you guys interested in reading it. So have you read it? If so, let me know down below. What did you think of it? Do you have anything to add? Or maybe something that I missed that you think I need to know? Or if you just want to let me know you're here but you don't have anything to add, since this is titled Gardens of the Moon, leave me some kind of flower or moon emoji down below. But as always, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.